Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, degenerate. No, I'm sorry. Welcome back to the Nostalgia Birthday Party podcast. I am Mickey on VHS, and I'm here with the most vital member of this podcast team.
Hi guys, it's Leah. How are you all doing today? It's been a good month since we've had a last podcast, but we're back and ready to talk about some nerd stuff and maybe a little sports.
Yeah, we actually want to know how you guys are doing in these uncertain times. So if you follow either one of us on social media platforms, feel free to send me a message. Be like, Mickey, you know what? I'm doing well today. How are you doing? I would love I would love to get that.
I know it's been a rough year and it's actually been a year since we've started this podcast. It's been a wild ride, that's for sure.
Yes, the first podcast we did was in the Sunshine State. I think that's what Florida is. I thought it was something with the oranges. It's not the oranges. It's definitely sunshine in Florida, right?
My license plate said it was the Sunshine State.
Where am I getting the oranges from? Okay, so I went to the quote unquote Sunshine State, and that was where we filmed the first episode of the podcast. And it's kind of dope that we're both in the same place physically to do this episode of the podcast. The world's a completely different place than it was just a year ago. Crazy to think of that, but just thinking about how these uncertain times, you guys can't see it, but I'm doing air quotes whenever I say that. We are getting to a point where movie studios are moving their movies that are supposed to go into theaters onto their designated subscription programs, and their designated subscription avenues or whatever you want to call it. I do know that DC is moving a lot of their comic book movies that are supposed to be coming out in theaters, their their money pit kind of movies. They're moving them to HBO Max, which I personally think is a good idea. I feel like all the suits and a lot of the directors involved in it don't like the idea of it. But maybe this is selfish for me saying this, but I'm a person who generally just loved going to theaters, but I hated people in the theaters. I still really like the idea of seeing a movie for the first time in theaters, but with everything going on in the world right now, I really don't see me ever really going to a theater again. I don't think I'll ever be able to go to a theater without thinking about all the other people around me, what their temperatures are like, were they considerate about how they feel, or did they just decide to go to a movie either way? And that would really affect the way I would enjoy movies. Just this summer, Tenet was supposed to come out, I think, in July, and I went on record and I said that I was willing to pay a disgusting amount of money just to rent it from home to see if I could watch the movie. And Christopher Nolan told me no. He sent me tons of emails from burner accounts on the internet and everything. He was like, Mickey, either you're going to go to a theater and see this movie, or you're just not going to see the movie. And I didn't see the movie, and it hurt me. I still don't know what's happening in that movie. I should have been past it by now. But I think the moving movies that are supposed to come out to theaters onto these subscription platforms is a good idea because it's giving people like me that aren't really necessarily willing to make the risk of going to a theater right now. They're giving them an option to watch it from the comfort of their own home. I think Tenet comes out December 15th. A little plug there, so that's when I'll get to see it. But what do you think about Leah?
I think that you're right, Mickey, that going to a movie theater, especially right now and maybe in at least the next half a year with the current climate, it's just not going to be the most feasible option for, I would say, rational people who are taking the pandemic seriously, at least not without a vaccine. And I mean, you, you can't be too cautious with what's going on right now, I think.
I mean, it's not like movie theaters were the cleanest places to begin with, even before the pandemic. I mean, how many of us have ever gone to a movie theater and didn't have their shoes stick to the floor as they're walking through? You really think they're going through and super clean these places now with everything, with like shorter staff and everything? I don't know. I don't think it's a good move, but I don't think. I mean, I think the bullet point of this, or like what's it called? The headline of this whole thing is like, oh, they're moving all the movies to streaming platforms, and that's not necessarily the case. They're still having like
Dual releases. They're gonna be in theaters, but they're also gonna be on HBO Max.
yes, like Wonder Woman 1945, 1975, 1979, 1980, 1981, 1983, 1984, 85, 84, 84. There we go. WW 84 is going to be coming out in theaters the same day it comes out on HBO Max. So if you're really feeling like going to a theater, more power to you. You can go to a theater and I can watch it from home. I think that's, I don't think a lot of studios are doing that, but I think that's the smartest thing to do.
So there's gonna be Wonder Woman 84. I know some of the other big Warner Brothers movies are Dune and Suicide Squad. So that'll be really interesting to get to see on a streaming platform. So I know I'm really excited for Wonder Woman 84 because it's been, as they say in the memes, it's been 84 years since we've had any big blockbusters really. And so it would be really interesting to see with HBO Max what their numbers are, what their how much streaming they get and what that means for things like Black Widow and Marvel coming supposedly in May because they keep pushing that back as well. If Wonder Woman 84 does big numbers on HBO Max, I'd be really interested to see if Black Widow, if Disney will finally pull the trigger and put that on Disney Plus for $30 like they did with Mulan, so that they can try and do a simultaneous dual release in theaters but also on Disney Plus. I think Wonder Woman 84 will set a precedent, and it could mean big things for just the movie theaters in general going forward.
I mean, once again, Wonder Woman is breaking down boundaries and changing the game for Black Widow. I mean, if the first Wonder Woman movie didn't come out and was as successful as it was, I don't think we'd be getting a Black Widow movie, or at least I don't think we would be promised a Black Widow movie. I have no faith that this movie has even been filmed in its completion until Marvel decides to release it. But you have these platforms, you have the Mulan rule of paying $30 to rent it or whatever. I think this is the perfect opportunity for movie studios to really go all in with this Disney Plus idea. I mean, isn't this the whole reason why you guys came up with Disney Plus and bought back the rights from Netflix for all these movies? You finally have some place where you can monetize this kind of thing. And there's a lot of people talking about, oh, this is going to kill movie theaters or whatever. This isn't just a regular walk in the park, Chuck. This is unprecedented times.
So, in other Disney news, we've got WandaVision coming out in January, I think January 15th. And I'm really excited for that because, as you may know, Scarlet Witch has the power to bend the multiverse, so to speak. Right, Mickey?
Correct.
If I'm wrong, please let me know. But I think this show is going to open up the multiverse theory. And that's going to be huge for Marvel because in other casting news, we might have a Spider-Verse movie live action coming. Spider-Man 3 has been rumored to cast Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, Andrew Garfield, Emma Stone, Alfred Molina, and the Netflix Daredevil guy.
Yeah, I think his name's Matt. No, that's the character's name. I don't know what the actor's name is actually.
So that could either turn out to be one of the big coming togethers, or it could be like the CWTV's Crisis on Infinite Earths, where they give 5-second cameos to all these different people but don't really do much with them.
I think it's a really cool idea. It's a great way to get people really excited for this Spider-Man movie after the controversy of them leaving the MCU and then going back, but not really, moving out of their parents' house, but still getting an allowance and then coming back, yada yada yada. Um, I, I've seen Spider-Verse and I thought that was really cool. I didn't know how I would how I would receive the idea of multiple versions of a character interacting with each other in a movie. But once I've seen it, I'm like, okay, this can work as long as the person writing the movie has a good idea for it. So I think it'd be really cool to see Tom and Andrew and Toby hanging out as a couple of web slingers. But I want to see Miles Morales because if we're being honest about it, the only reason why this Peter Parker is so successful is because he took a lot of Miles Morales' swag from the comics and they kind of airlifted it and they put it over to Peter Parker, in my opinion. So I think it's only fair that, if they're doing all these different Spider-Mans, I don't think we'll ever get Spider-Punk. I just have to live with that. Spidey Gwen maybe, but I do want to see a Miles Morales in this one. He's proven money. He has his own video game. Spider-Verse made hundreds of millions of dollars. Let's cast somebody as Miles Morales for this movie.
So, Mickey, if you do get Miles Morales in a live action, who would you cast as Miles?
Pretty much the same two people I've been fan casting for Miles for the past decade. I thought that when they casted Andrew Garfield for Spider-Man that we're kind of going to get a Miles Morales Spider-Man, and they're like, no. So, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe Jacob Artis from Glee fame. That's from your show. I think visually he looks like he could do it. Actually, I haven't watched a lot of Glee, so I don't know what his acting is like. But he is a professional actor, so I'm sure he can, act. Or if we want to cross multiverses and everything, there's a certain speedster that I'm getting to know by watching Legends and some of the Flash, who doesn't seem to be used at all on the show, even though he has the same powers as the Flash. We can get Keenan Lonsdale. Don't know if I'm saying his name right. He's not currently on the show, to my knowledge. It'd be cool to see him as Miles Morales. I don't think there's a shortage of like biracial male actors that could play the part. Just don't cast someone that's 6'6", 250 pounds. Try to make him look somewhat of a youth. But those would be my top two choices if I had to pick two guys. Maybe even Mason Gooding from Booksmart. He's the son of Cuba Gooding Jr. and he's about that age. So actually, that might be a sleeper pick right there. So you got a lot of choices there. But it's still a Hollywood movie, so they might just cast Scarlett Johansson as Miles. So who knows?
Scarlet could meet her demise in the Black Widow movie. Oh wait, no, she does in Infinity War in Endgame. My bad.
Yeah, she's dead already.
So she could be reincarnated as a tree.
Oh man. Well, you got Florence probably. I'm not gonna do fan service for Black Widow until they show me that they've filmed the movie. So I'm not even gonna do that.
Well, speaking of Keenan Lonsdale on the Legends, CWTV and their Arrowverse, which is now called the CWVerse, it should be called the Beboverse for what it's worth. They've been making a lot of changes. As we may have talked about before, Supergirl is ending with season 6, and it turns out that Black Lightning is going to be ending with season 4. So you've got The Flash then, which is going into its 8th season, and I don't know how much longer that show's got. And you also have Legends of Tomorrow, which is going into its 6th season as well. Hasn't been announced that it's been canceled, but it's one of the slower performing shows on the network, even though it's one of the best written and acted all around. So we're coming up to this point in time where we had Crisis on Infinite Earths, this huge multiverse get together, and now they're all on the same Earth for the most part. But you're getting rid of these shows, and they just created the Super Friends. So it's tough to see where this is going. You've got Superman and Lois starting. You've still got Batwoman. You've got The Flash and Stargirl, which is on a different Earth.
Yeah, when I remember talking to you about Crisis on Infinite Earths, this was it for you. You're like, this is it. I've been waiting. Take all my money. And I'm like, isn't it on like free TV? And you're like, yeah, I'll still give them the money. It doesn't matter. So I thought, as a someone that's outside looking in, that this was really going to be the big bang to start like this wave of like newer shows and different ideas and everything. This was going to be the jumping off point to something really big for the Arrowverse, and it's turned out to be kind of the opposite. If this is spoilers for you guys, the stuff came out like a year ago, so sorry, but Oliver McQueen or Steve McQueen or Steve McArrow or whatever, he's like they killed him like twice. So like that's pretty much it for the Arrowverse. Got to rename it. The Legends. I'm going back and I'm watching the show now. They're dropping off characters left and right and everything in that show. Black Lightning's getting canceled after a fourth season. Hurts me to my tummy, but what are you gonna do? I didn't really get too upset about it because Supergirl was getting the axe too, and she's the top baddie out of all of them basically. It just seems like they're dropping more shows than keeping them, and I don't know. It looks like this might be kind of the end for the Arrowverse. I mean, you can't really do a multiverse of superhero shows if you only have like the Flash and maybe Batwoman, which I don't know. I gotta watch a few episodes of that one before I get fully behind it. I'm not down for her being an ex criminal turned vigilante. I'm getting kind of tired of that.
Yeah, they just dropped the new teaser trailer for season 2 with Javicia Leslie taking over the cowl. So check that out on YouTube or wherever you find your clips of TV.
So it used to be a thing where like DC was hailed for having like quality TV shows, and their movies are and then Marvel was kind of roasted for having like Agents of Shield, which was kind of but their movies are extravagant. So it's like, well, if DC is losing the TV shows, like that means they really have to turn it up for the movies. So that's another reason why I'm going to be looking forward to seeing WW84. I wasn't really. I mean, you guys have been listening. I haven't been too crazy about seeing it, but she's putting the franchise on her back, and I'm always down for seeing a kick-ass female heroine beating guys to a pulp on screen. That's always entertaining to me, unless it's Harley Quinn and the Fabulous Freebirds or whatever the name of the movie was. It just occurred to me mid sentence that the last movie I saw in theaters, if I never go to the theaters again, was Harley Quinn, and I'm not okay with that. I don't know if I'm gonna have to find like a beekeeper costume or something and just find a movie just for bragging rights, but I don't know. That can't stand. My last concert was Sugar Ray, so that's fine, but I don't know about the movie, dude.
In terms of Harley Quinn, it might be interesting to see what the Oscars are going to do if they're going to open up their categories to streaming service movies, because basically Harley Quinn and the Sonic movie were the two biggest movies to come out in 2020.
If you would have made a bet with me in January that that would be true in December, I would owe you so much money right now. It's crazy to think that. I think it's time for the awards to really recognize streaming movies. On the other side of the fence, though, if you're a fan of a lot of Netflix movies, the quality isn't always there, so you can see why there's a little prejudice there. But I think with Martin Scorsese and a lot of great actors and actresses and directors and producers making content on streaming sites, I think it's time that they get their own kind of show at award shows, even though I don't really care about award shows. That was us venting to you guys about movie news and everything. It's weird out there still. Things are getting a little bit weirder now, so we just urge you guys to wear your mask, wash your hands, try to not get too close to anyone physically and emotionally this holiday season. I think 2021 is looking promising. I think we're heading in the right direction if we can just all get on the same page with one another. So, just be safe, be good to one another, check on your friends, check on your pets, check to see if your front door is open, the whole thing.
It's been good to spend another episode with you guys. Like Mickey said, keep keep conscious of wearing a mask, keeping your hands clean, keeping everything clean, keeping social distance. And we will talk to you again, with you again, in a little bit. That's right, Josephine. Meow.
Meow.